What's up, everybody? It's Carlos Collects Comics, and welcome to another Friday feature. This week, I'm going to be giving you 11 independent titles that are worth buying right now. So stay tuned. Hey, so like I said, we are going to be looking at 11 independent titles that it's worth buying right now, that are worth buying right now. These are, you can call it speculating, investing, but the bottom line is regardless of what you call it, and where you're at, whether you're a collector, whether you're a collector who also sells, or somebody who almost exclusively just buys and sells comics, the following 11 titles that I'm going to lay out for you right now are ones that I'm picking and picking up as I come across them at a good price, because I still think they've got a lot of room to grow, and they are going to end up being very strong titles moving forward that could get exploited in other forms of media, and also just continuing on as like really good titles to have. So I broke it down into two groups. I'm going to be talking to you about five hot books that everybody knows about, everybody's heard about them, and everybody is picking them up, and the prices are currently going up. But these five books that I picked, though, are ones that I feel are you can still get at a reasonable price right now, and they are still going to have room to grow. So I highly suggest picking them up as we get along. So so these five, again, like I said, they're all going to be ones that you've probably heard about, and they're all going to be ones that are continuing, that have risen in value. So you're not going to be able to find these five at cover price unless it's brand new. But then but they're still low enough priced for you to go ahead and get into. So the first one on my list, it shouldn't surprise anybody, because I always talk about it and I call it the next Walking Dead, but it is Something is Killing the Children. Now what I've got right here, this is a local comic shop day foil variant that came out last year of issue 1. This is not a first print. My first print copy is actually off getting graded at CGC. And now this foil variant, just by itself raw, I'm seeing these starting to go for $30, $40 a piece just for the foil variant. Now recently, I think it was 2 days ago, as of the recording of this video, all three first print number ones. That's the Cover A, the Jay Lee variant, and then the Jenny Frison variant. I think it's the retailer unlocked version. All three of those sold together in one lot, CGC 9.8, for $2,100. And so when you think about that, that's wild that these books are only about a year and a half old, and they're already going for such a crazy amount. Cover A broke $1,300 a couple of days ago on eBay. This book, like I said a minute ago, this book is the next The Walking Dead, and it has plenty of room to grow. For those who are a little bit concerned about the price for a Cover A, there is a lower buy-in that you can get. This foil variant is probably the least expensive right now. I think some places you might still be able to find the 8th print, which was a free or charged giveaway with copies of Berserker #2 from Boom Studios. There's, I think, a rumor right now that Something is Killing the Children is getting developed for a live action series. To me, in my mind, it's a foregone conclusion. It has all the right elements. It has a strong story, a strong lead female character, and it has plenty of story mythology and story to build out, well beyond the first 15-issue arc. Originally, it was only considered, I think it was only going to be a 15-issue arc, but they're releasing issue 16 soon. It has a ton of store variants and different exclusives for different variant covers. Now, I'm not really a variant cover chaser. I will pick them up from time to time if I like the art or I really like the title. But for the most part, I tend to stick to the cover A, sometimes B and C if I really like the art. But I think when it comes to speculating or investing on comics, or if you're picking up a comic, hoping for it to go up in value, you can never go wrong with cover A. Always keep it simple. Always stick to the cover A's. I know, the scarcity for some of them and the retailer variants, those are all fine and well and good. And some of the variants look great. They've got beautiful artwork that's just stunning. And I pick them up too. But from a strict speculation and investment standpoint, the cover A is you're always going to see enough of a return to make something back on it. So Something is Killing the Children is number 1 on my list. Number 2 is another James Tynion book, that is Department of Truth. Again, my cover A's and B's and the secret variant are not here in town because they are off at CGC getting graded. So I just grabbed this beat up second printing of number 1. And so this book has been confirmed to have been optioned. And when you read it and you get into the conspiracy angle, and Lee Harvey Oswald is a major player in the storyline, but he's proven to still be alive, and this whole idea of conspiracy theories coming to life and this greater cultural zeitgeist breeding these different things into existence. It's a really trippy book, but at the same time, it's one of those that you read it and you think, man, it's obvious with all the kind of the political intrigue that we're dealing with in our country, in the United States, for a book like this to exist. Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. CGC 9.8s for cover A are approaching $200, and some of the ratio variants are going much higher than that. But this book you can still find full sets of cover A's near mint for $100 or less, and that's issues 1 through 5, cover A of each, first printing of each, and you can still find those out there for under $100, which I think is well worth it. That's a good investment. It's a good book to pick up because it's only going to go up in value. So that's my number 2 recommendation. Number 3 is a book that actually I completely ignored it when it came out, but it was my son who picked it up, or who picked up the postcard, and based off of just the postcard for the cover art, he said, hey, this is one that you should really consider picking up. Well, I didn't listen, so I paid a little bit more for one of the variants that I'm going to show you, but for the cover A's, we were able to get a few copies, and we do have a couple of full sets of the first 5-issue run, and this book is We Live. We Live has gained a lot of heat very recently, very quickly, because people are starting to pick up on what a great story it is. And so when I went back and actually clicked on used my phone to click on the QR code and listen to the music and the soundtrack, and to read it, and then to read the final letter at the end of issue 5, and then seeing what was happening in issue 5, all of a sudden I realized, whoa, this is a big deal. This book is so we scrambled and got 2 full sets. We have a couple copies of cover A, first printing. We also got a copy of the 1 in 15 variant, which has a great cover. I actually picked it up and held it at my LCS, my local comic shop, but then put it back down. So we ended up buying it a little bit later. I could have had it at cover price, but I didn't. And that's one of those things where sometimes you just got to go with your gut, or go with your son's gut if he's into independent books, because he did a real good job with that one. So we've got a couple sets of those for him. One of them, the best condition cover A, number 1, is off at CGC also. Number 4 on my list is a book that everybody, I think, has become familiar with very quickly, Shadecraft. Shadecraft has already been optioned by Netflix. It is going to be a live-action produced series. and it is being fast-tracked towards pre-production. Right now, you can still get cover A number ones for $10 to $15 raw and very high grade. You can get the cover Bs, I think, for between $7 and $10, and there is a blank variant for it that I don't know that many people are gonna need it just yet, but I do like to pick up the blanks because I love to get those sketched when I get to hopefully conventions open back up. One thing to be aware of on these is that because of the white front and the black back, when these were stacked in a lot of boxes, there is a lot of ink rub on the spine here, so you have to watch out for that. I think you can clean a little bit, or if you have a decent cleaner and presser, they can do it as well. But this is Shadecraft is another one of my picks. I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was a good story, strong character, and there was a little bit of a twist at the end of issue 1 that I wasn't expecting. So I think it's one that you should definitely be watching and definitely be picking up a few copies for yourself. Last one on my hot indie spec books is one that you're probably not expecting to be in a video showcasing independent titles, because that is Star Wars The High Republic. Wait, but not The High Republic though, because this is a Marvel book. This isn't quote-unquote independent. That's not the one I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is Star Wars The High Republic Adventures. This book, a lot of people are sleeping on this book, and once these Disney series and animated series start to come out, you're going to wish you'd pick these books up. A lot of people are sleeping on them because this is considered the kids' version, and it's being released by IDW. They are putting this out simultaneous from the Marvel High Republic series, but they developed this for children. And this one has a 1 in 10 variant for issue number 1, the Yoda variant, and I highly recommend picking this one up. I've got 2 copies of it. But Star Wars The High Republic Adventures, it has everything that you're looking for. It's a main Star Wars title moving forward as they develop the intellectual property, and it also has first appearances and a different subplot, including elements of Yoda's origin. And this is a title that, again, a lot of people are just leaving them sitting there, and they're not paying attention to them. They're chasing after ratio variants for High Republic. They're chasing after a bunch of other Star Wars related books, but they're missing a key book right now that you can be picking up for cover price or less in high grade. So I can't stress enough that High Republic Adventures is as worthwhile a pickup as Star Wars Bounty Hunters, or the main High Republic title, or the main Star Wars title, or the Darth Vader title, or any of the other ones that are coming out right now. So those are my 5 hot independent spec titles to be picking up. The next group that I'm going to go through are the 6 titles that are flying under the radar that I think you should be picking up right now. Number 1 of those is a book that just continues to deliver consistent, strong storytelling and entertaining little twist of humor and great artwork, and that is Once and Future. Once and Future right now, you can still get high-grade raw copies of issue number 1 for $20 or less on eBay. And I'm sure if you look around, you can find an even better deal than that. But they are still out there, and I'm telling you, with the success of the Invincible animated series, which just had a great, phenomenal run for season 1, and has gotten greenlit for not just season 2, but also season 3 as well. This is primed for an animated, adult-oriented series moving forward. So that's why I picked that for number 1 on my 6 under the radar independent titles. Number two for this part is Stray Dogs. And so I picked up, I have multiples of the book, but this is the cover A. And then the acetate cover, you can kind of see the reflection going on, and how it's a little bit different from the regular cover A. But the acetate cover, I also picked up one of those to go with it. So Stray Dogs, you can still find $14 to $20 high-grade raw copies of #1 on eBay. You can probably find them a lot less than that now. But it's a very dark story about a dog that is taken in by a serial killer who collects dogs, and it gets very dark. We're currently on issue 3, but it is well worth picking up. Now it's currently only scheduled for a 5-issue run, but the fan support and fan reaction to it has been very strong and overwhelmingly positive. So, and with the art style being in that Don Bluth 90s and Sony animation style, it again, when it comes to adult animation, this is another one that I can easily see being adapted into an animated either film or movie going forward, because they're doing so much with animation right now. And it's just such an interesting take on the story for it to be so dark, but with that kind of wholesome animation or wholesome art style. So that's one to keep looking, and it's a good read. It's a great read. It's well worth picking up, even if you just pick up the cover A's for 1 through 5. Well worth it. Next up on my 6 under the radar indie title section is Erratic. I think this is cover B of issue #1. So Erratic, you can get a full run in high grade, and it's another limited series. It's only 5 parts, but you can get a full run in high grade for $20. So you get a great read, and you get what I think is one of the most overlooked spec titles that's out there right now. So it's a story of a 15-year-old who has superpowers for only 10 minutes at a time, and just kind of the battle that he goes on, and what starts happening to his school and the people around him. There is a lot deeper. There's a lot more story world going on here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with it beyond issue 5. It was written by Carr Andrews, who you might know as an artist and writer who's done things like Spider-Man Reign and other projects. I think it's a great read, and it's a great story, and for $20 to get all 5 issues, and you don't even have to get into the variants for it. I picked all of them up because I believe in the title, but it's one that I think is well worth it, and it's definitely still flying under the radar. Number 4, or the next on my list for 6 titles that are flying under the radar. Amazingly, Noctera is still, there's still copies out there. You can still get first prints of all the different covers. I just picked up another, you'll see this in my Monday haul, I just picked up another copy of cover A, first print, at my local comic shop, at least a month and a half after its initial release. So there's a ton of copies out there. I know that it has a massive print run because it's a Scott Snyder book with art by Tony Daniel. I know that a lot of people have talked about it, and it's got a ton of variant issues, but it has a really strong story and a really strong character. And this is another one that I could see being developed, not necessarily as a live action streaming series, but there's definitely possibilities for this being adapted, and it's just a really great read. It's well worth picking up. You can get high-grade raw copies of #1, like I said, at cover price or less than cover price. Well worth picking up. If you haven't been reading Noctera, now's the time to go ahead and do it. This is your urging, me saying, go get it, read #1, and then drop a comment on this video and let me know what you thought of it. Next up, Radiant Black. Okay, this is the what Image touted as the beginning of a shared superhero universe. I went pretty hard on this one, more so than I'd ever done on any other book recently. I think I got like 10 copies of cover A, 5 of cover B. I got the 1 in 10. Let's see. Oh no, I have the 1 in 50 for it, which just is just a sick cover. I mean, look at that. I also got the 1 in 10. This is the cover B. I've also got which this is just a really cool cover right here. I mean, look at that. That's just really neat artwork. Really great concept. And then even the second printing, I mean, this second printing artwork is just really phenomenal. I mean, look at that. This kind of Art Deco style. It's just really cool art, and it's a great concept. It's kind of like Green Lantern meets Invincible, and like I was saying, Image has touted it as the kind of the first building block in their shared universe. So I'm not sure what they have planned or what all titles they're going to connect into it and what other types of superheroes they're going to introduce. I wasn't as impressed with issues 1 and 2 as I was with other titles, but I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. And I bought into it, and so I'm going to recommend it to you because you can still find them, like the cover A's at cover price, or like a second printing or maybe even a third printing, and just pick it up, read it, and see what you think. I think it's a very accessible story, but not necessarily the most original, but it's very accessible, and I can absolutely see them throwing a curveball into this one, like with Invincible, that might lead to some bigger things down the road. So I'm willing to go for that ride and check it out, and I suggest that you do so also. Okay, so the last one on my list, this is the 6th under the radar indie title I think you should be picking up, the 11th overall, and that is We Only Find Them When They're Dead. Now, I've been picking this one up since day one. I've been picking up both the cover A's and the cover B's, which has this one has stunning artwork. And while it's been a little bit light on the story dose per issue, the artwork has been second to none. It has a really beautiful glow to it because I think the artwork is done on a dark background rather than starting on just a white blank. But the artwork is fantastic. It has very much kind of like an neon anime tinge to it, but also a cinematic animated series type thing. I could see this being in the vein of like a new style animated, almost like an Akira or something like that. So I recommend it. You can still find these copies for fairly inexpensively. A CGC 9.8 of cover A, number 1, just sold for $65, which is nothing. That's barely anything over the cost of the book and the slabbing for the book. So those are my 11 independent titles that I think you should be buying right now. I hope that this has been a good help for you. Let me encourage you to like the video, share it, leave a comment. Let me know if you're picking up any of these books, or maybe there's one that I missed that you think I should have included in this. So make sure to leave a comment, and above all, your subscribing to this would be a huge help. Because I'm still continuing to grow the channel, still continuing to try to put content out on a regular basis that's going to help other comic collectors, and so your subscription to the channel is a huge help. And I'm looking forward to announcing my 100 subscriber giveaway. I'm going to be doing a fairly hot book that is probably a little bit more than you would think for just a regular 100 subscriber giveaway, but I didn't want to wait until like 500 or 200 or anything like that. I just want to do a giveaway to thank the people that have gone ahead and subscribed. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment, tell me what you thought, and it's been awesome to be able to share these with you, and I'm looking forward to hearing any feedback that you got. So this is Cross Collects Comics, and again, it has been great to share, or to hang out with you and to share about comic collecting.